December 19, 1941, North Atlantic. The sea is black as oil. Commander Frederic Johnnie Walker stands on the bridge of HMS Stork, his eyes scanning the darkness. Behind him, 32 merchant ships plow through freezing water, carrying food and ammunition that Britain desperately needs to survive. Somewhere out there, invisible beneath the waves, a wolf pack is circling. U-574, her captain has already fired. 2 torpedoes are racing toward the convoy at 45 miles per hour. Men are about to die. Ships are about to sink. But Walker doesn't run. He does something the Royal Navy has never seen before. Something his superiors think is insane. Instead of staying with the convoy, protecting it like a shield, he charges, full speed, directly at the submarine, his own ship, ramming a U-boat, on purpose. The impact tears metal. Water rushes into compartments. Both vessels are mortally wounded. As U-574 goes down, taking 51 German sailors with her, Walker's crew fights to save their own ship. This isn't standard procedure. This isn't in the manual. This is the moment everything changes. What the Admiralty doesn't know yet is that Walker's crazy tactics will transform the Battle of the Atlantic. By 1943, convoy losses will drop by 83%. 20 U-boats will fall to Walker's ships. And the man they called Johnnie Walker will become the most successful submarine hunter in history. But in December 1941, standing on a sinking ship, he's just a 45-year-old commander who's been passed over for promotion too many times to count. To understand Walker's revolution, you need to understand what was at stake. By late 1941, Britain was dying, not quickly, slowly, being strangled. Admiral Karl Dunitz's U-boats were sinking merchant ships faster than the Allies could build them. In 1941 alone, U-boats sent more than 4 million tons of shipping to the bottom of the Atlantic. That's over 4,000 ships, food, fuel, weapons, medicine, all gone. The statistics were terrifying. A merchant sailor in 1942 had a 1 in 4 chance of dying. Not from battle, from drowning in freezing water, from burning alive when fuel oil ignited, from being crushed between ships in the darkness. The convoy system was supposed to fix this. Gather ships into groups, surround them with naval escorts, cross the Atlantic together. Safety in numbers, they said. And it worked, sort of. Convoy losses were lower than independent sailing. But lower didn't mean low enough. The problem was simple. Traditional convoy tactics were defensive. Escort ships formed a ring around the merchant vessels. When a U-boat attacked, the escorts would rush to the attack site, drop depth charges, and then hurry back to the convoy. The U-boats adapted. German submarine commanders realized they could surface inside the convoy formation at night, fire their torpedoes at point-blank range, then dive deep and escape, while the escorts were busy rescuing survivors. The Wolfpack tactic made it worse. Multiple submarines would coordinate attacks, overwhelming the defenses. Between March and September 1942, U-boats sank over 3 million tons of Allied shipping in what became known as the Happy Time for German submariners. Britain had 3 months of food left. Maybe 4. Winston Churchill later wrote, "The only thing that ever really frightened me during the war was the U-boat peril." Now you might wonder, where was Captain Walker during all this? Stuck on shore. Here's where the story gets interesting. Frederic John Walker was one of the Royal Navy's top anti-submarine warfare experts. He'd been studying submarine tactics since 1924. He'd trained at HMS Osprey, the Navy's specialist anti-submarine school. He knew more about hunting U-boats than almost anyone in the fleet, and the Admiralty kept him at a desk. Why? Because Walker had a problem with authority. He questioned orders. He developed his own tactics. He believed aggressive attack was better than passive defense. And in the Royal Navy's rigid hierarchy, that kind of thinking didn't get you promoted. It got you sidelined. By 1940, Walker was 44 years old. Most officers his age were commanding destroyers, even cruisers. Walker was a staff officer for Admiral Bertram Ramsay, helping coordinate the Dunkirk evacuation from behind a desk. He was brilliant. He was experienced, and he was being wasted. But in October 1941, something changed. The losses were too heavy. Britain needed every experienced anti-submarine officer it could find. Walker was given command of the 36th Escort Group, 2 sloops and 6 corvettes. Small ships, old ships, but they were his, and Walker had ideas that most people thought were suicidal. Traditional doctrine said convoy escorts should never leave their charges. The merchant ships were everything. Protecting them was the only goal. If that meant letting a U-boat escape, so be it. Walker disagreed. He believed the best defense was a dead U-boat. Not a scared one, not a damaged one, a destroyed one. And to destroy U-boats, you had to take risks. You had to hunt them. You had to become what the Germans called a Geleitjäger, an escort hunter. His superiors were skeptical. One admiral told him, "Your job is to get the convoy through, Walker." Not to go gallivanting after submarines, Walker nodded politely, and then did exactly what he planned to do anyway. Convoy HG-76 departed Gibraltar on December 14, 1941. 32 merchant ships, 9 escort vessels under Walker's command, and the Royal Navy's first escort carrier, HMS Audacity, providing air cover. The convoy's destination, Liverpool. Distance 1,800 miles. Expected duration, 12 days. German intelligence spotted them immediately. Admiral Dönitz dispatched 12 U-boats to intercept. Not just any submarines. Veterans. The Wolfpack included some of Germany's most experienced commanders. Their orders: destroy this convoy. What happened over the next 9 days would rewrite naval warfare. December 17th. The attacks begin. U-131 fires at the convoy. Walker's escorts charge toward the attack, but instead of dropping a few depth charges and returning, Walker does something unexpected. He organizes his ships into a hunting formation. While some escorts stay with the convoy, others pursue the submarine relentlessly. For 14 hours, the U-boat tries to escape, dives deep, changes course, surfaces and runs. Nothing works. Walker's ships maintain contact using ASDIC, sonar. They coordinate, share information, adjust their search pattern. Finally, HMS Penstemon and Blankney bracket the submarine. Depth charges explode. U-131 surfaces damaged, crew abandoning ship. She sinks stern first into the Atlantic. 1 down, 11 to go. The Wolfpack closes in. On December 18th, U-434 attacks. Sinks 1 merchant ship, but Walker's already moving. Instead of defensive positions, his escorts hunt in pairs. 1 ship maintains ASDIC contact. The other attacks. It's a tactic Walker's been developing for years. He calls it coordination. The Germans call it terrifying. HMS Blankney and Stanley corner U-434. Depth charges force her to surface. British guns finish the job. 2 U-boats down in 2 days. German radio traffic intercepts show confusion. The submarines are reporting unprecedented aggression from the escorts. These aren't normal convoy defenders. They're predators. December 19th. U-574 makes her move. Her commander, Kapitän Leutnant Dietrich Gengelbach, is careful, experienced. He positions his submarine ahead of the convoy, lets it pass overhead, then surfaces behind the escorts. Perfect ambush position. He fires. 4 torpedoes, all misses. Walker's ships are zigzagging unpredictably, another tactic the U-boats haven't encountered before. Gengelbach realizes his mistake. He's been spotted. He orders an emergency dive. Too late. Walker sees the submarine's silhouette against the night sky. He orders Stork's engines to full speed, directly at U-574. His officers think he's lost his mind. Ramming a submarine could sink both vessels. Standard procedure is depth charges from a safe distance. Walker disagrees with standard procedure. Stork crashes into U-574 at 17 knots. The impact throws men off their feet. Metal screams. The submarine's hull ruptures. She begins to sink immediately, taking 51 crewmen down. Stork is badly damaged. Her bow is crumpled. She's taking on water. Walker has possibly committed suicide to sink 1 submarine. But he's made a point. To his crew, to the U-boats, to the entire Royal Navy, the Hunter doesn't run. Over the next 4 days, Walker's escorts sink 2 more U-boats. Schoisen falls to HMS Deptford. U-125 barely escapes, severely damaged. The convoy reaches Liverpool on December 23rd. Final tally: 2 merchant ships lost. 1 escort destroyed. HMS Audacity torpedoed on December 21st. But 5 U-boats sunk. 5. In a single convoy battle. It's unprecedented. The normal kill rate is 1 U-boat per 10 convoys. Walker has achieved 5 times that ratio while sustaining minimal losses. The Admiralty is stunned. They award Walker the Distinguished Service Order. His tactics are revolutionary. But can they be repeated? Walker intends to find out. Over the next year, his 36th Escort Group develops and refines new techniques. The creeping attack becomes their signature move. Here's how it works. When a U-boat dives, it can hear approaching ships. The noise of engines and propellers gives escorts away, allowing the submarine to maneuver and escape. Traditional attacks are loud, predictable, and often miss. Walker's solution: use 2 ships. One vessel, usually Stork, maintains stationary ASDIC contact, silent, unmoving, tracking the submarine's exact position. The second ship approaches at slow speed, just 3 or 4 knots, so quiet the U-boat can't hear it coming. The tracking ship guides the attacking ship using visual signals or radio, closer, left a bit, steady. Now the silent ship drops depth charges directly on top of the submarine. The first the U-boat knows about it is when the explosions start tearing through the hull. The tactic is devastatingly effective. U-boats start reporting ghost attacks, depth charges appearing without warning, no engine noise beforehand. But Walker isn't satisfied with just tactics. He trains his crews obsessively. Mock attacks, night drills, ASDIC practice. His ships become expert at working together, sharing information, coordinating movements. There's another innovation. Walker refuses to give up. Traditional doctrine says if you haven't found a submarine after a few hours, move on. Rejoin the convoy. Walker disagrees. If he has ASDIC contact, he stays. For hours. For days if necessary. One U-boat is hunted for 36 hours before finally being forced to surface and scuttle. Another is chased across 200 miles of ocean before succumbing to depth charges. Walker's philosophy is simple. Make the U-boats fear surfacing. Make them fear attacking. Make them fear the escorts more than they desire the merchant ships. It works. By mid-1942, Walker's group has sunk at least 7 U-boats. He's promoted to captain and awarded his first bar to the DSO, but he's exhausted. The constant operations are grinding him down. In October 1942, he's rotated to shore duty as Captain D. Liverpool. It's supposed to be a rest. It isn't, because while Walker is recovering, something else is happening. Something that will multiply his impact 1,000-fold. In January 1942, a Royal Navy captain named Gilbert Roberts establishes the Western Approaches Tactical Unit, WAT-2. Its mission: analyze convoy battles, develop new tactics, and train escort commanders. The unit is staffed primarily by Women's Royal Naval Service officers, WRENs. The first recruit is 3rd Officer Jean Laidlaw, a 21-year-old accountant from Scotland. Here's what makes WAT-2 revolutionary. They use wargaming. On the floor of a large room in Liverpool, they chalk out convoy formations and U-boat positions. Officers play the role of escorts in submarines. They test tactics. They recreate actual battles. They experiment, and they study Walker's battles obsessively. Convoy HG-76 is wargamed dozens of times. What worked? What didn't? Why were 5 U-boats sunk? Can other commanders replicate it? Jean Laidlaw discovers something crucial. The U-boats aren't just attacking from outside the convoy. They're infiltrating it, surfacing among the merchant ships, where escorts can't get at them without endangering their own vessels. She develops a counter-tactic called Raspberry. When a U-boat fires from inside the convoy, it has to dive immediately. The escorts rush not to the attack point, but to the rear of the convoy where the submarine will resurface. They're waiting. The U-boat surfaces directly into their depth charges. Another Wren, Janet Okel, develops the Buttercup tactic for dealing with Wolfpack coordinated attacks. WAT-2's tactics are distributed to every convoy escort group in the fleet. Walker's aggressive philosophy becomes official doctrine. Hunt, pursue, destroy. By April 1943, Walker is back at sea. He takes command of the 2nd Support Group, 6 sloops led by his flagship HMS Starling. But this isn't a normal escort group. It's a hunter-killer group, no convoy to protect, just one mission: find U-boats and sink them. Walker has been given freedom to hunt. Admiral Max Horton, Commander-in-Chief Western Approaches, tells him, I want U-boats dead. I don't care how you do it, Walker smiles. This is what he's been waiting for. What follows is the most successful anti-submarine campaign of the war. May 1943. The Germans call it Schwarzer Mai, Black May. For the U-boat force, it's a catastrophe. In 31 days, 43 U-boats are destroyed, more than the previous 6 months combined. The Kriegsmarine loses 15% of its entire submarine force in a single month, Walker's second support group is in the thick of it, June 2, 1943. Walker's ships detect U-202 in the Bay of Biscay. The submarine tries to run. Walker pursues for 14 hours. Finally, Starling gets her. Depth charges force U-202 to surface. British guns tear her apart. She sinks in 2 minutes. June 24th, U-119. A Type XB milk cow submarine, a supply boat carrying fuel and torpedoes for other U-boats. Walker's group corners her. She tries to fight on the surface. Bad decision. Starling rams her. The impact tears U-119's hull open. She floods and sinks. 52 crewmen die. 5 survivors are pulled from the water. Same day. U-449 caught on the surface. Destroyed by depth charges. 3 U-boats in 1 month. But Walker's just getting started. July 30th. Walker's group encounters 3 U-boats on the surface. He signals the general chase, a centuries-old naval order. Every ship for itself. Hunt down the enemy, it's chaos. Beautiful, deadly chaos. U-462 and U-504 are sunk by Walker's sloops. U-461 is finished off by an Australian flying boat. 3 U-boats destroyed in 4 hours. When Starling returns to Liverpool, Walker has "A Hunting We Will Go" played over the ship's loudspeaker system. It becomes his trademark. November 1943. U-226 and U-842, both destroyed in coordinated attacks. By now, Walker's tactics are legendary. U-boat commanders receive briefings about him. Stay away from his ships. Don't engage. Run if detected, but running doesn't help. January-February 1944. Walker's greatest triumph. His group deploys to the North Atlantic. In one patrol, just 29 days, they sink 6 U-boats: 6 U-592, U-762, U-238, U-734, U-424, U-264. The attacks are relentless, coordinated, overwhelming. Walker uses every tactic he's developed. Creeping attacks, coordinated hunts, relentless pursuit. The hold-down technique, keeping a U-boat submerged until its batteries die and it's forced to surface. When the second support group returns to Liverpool on February 25, 1944, they receive a hero's welcome. The First Lord of the Admiralty personally greets them. Walker is awarded a 3rd bar to his DSO, an almost unprecedented honor. The statistics are staggering. In less than a year, Walker's hunter-killer group has destroyed 13 U-boats. His career total, 20 confirmed kills, more than any other Allied commander. But the cost is hidden. Walker is 47 years old. He looks 60. The constant stress, the endless operations, the weight of command, it's destroying him. He's lost his son Timothy in August 1943, when HMS Parthian disappeared in the Mediterranean. He doesn't take leave. He doesn't rest. He keeps hunting. In May 1944, Walker's group supports the Normandy invasion. They establish a barrier in the English Channel. No U-boat gets through. At 1, by early July, Walker is exhausted. His officers notice he's unsteady. He has trouble focusing. He waves them off. There's work to do. July 7, 1944. Walker collapses on Starling's Bridge. Cerebral thrombosis, a blood clot in the brain. He's rushed to the Royal Naval Hospital at Seaforth, Liverpool, the same city he's defended for 3 years. The doctors do what they can. It's not enough. Captain Frederic John Walker dies on July 9, 1944. He's 48 years old. The cause of death is officially listed as cerebral thrombosis. But everyone knows the truth. Overwork. Exhaustion. He drove himself until his body simply gave out. His funeral is held at Liverpool Cathedral. Over 1,000 people attend. A naval procession escorts his coffin through the streets. Citizens line the route. Men remove their hats. Women cry. At the pierhead overlooking the River Mersey, his coffin is placed aboard HMS Hesperus. She carries him out to sea. Walker is buried in the Atlantic he fought so hard to defend. His second support group is already back at sea, hunting U-boats. There's still a war to win. The numbers tell the story. In 1942, before Walker's tactics were widely implemented, convoy losses averaged 22 ships per month. In 1943, after his methods became standard doctrine, that number dropped to 9 ships per month. By 1944, it was just 4 ships per month. An 83% reduction in convoy losses. 20 U-boats destroyed by Walker personally. Hundreds more sunk by commanders trained in his tactics. The Battle of the Atlantic, the longest continuous military campaign of World War II, was won by aggressive escort groups doing exactly what Walker pioneered: attack, hunt, destroy. Jean Laidlaw and Watteau trained over 5,000 convoy escort officers in Walker's methods. They wargamed over 200 convoy battles, developing and refining tactics that saved countless lives. After the war, Laidlaw returned to accounting. She lived quietly with her partner and died in 2008. Roberts was awarded a CBE. Walker received his honors posthumously. Here's what's remarkable. Walker was a 45-year-old commander when he got his first real combat command. He'd been passed over for promotion, sidelined, considered difficult and unorthodox. He had 3 years to prove his ideas. 3 years to transform naval warfare. 3 years to save Britain, and he did it. In 1998, a statue of Captain Johnnie Walker was unveiled at the Pierhead in Liverpool, overlooking the Atlantic. He's shown in his trademark pose, binoculars raised, scanning the horizon, searching for the next target. The inscription reads, "He sank more U-boats than any other commander." But that's not his real legacy. Walker's legacy is the idea that defense isn't enough, that you can't win a war by just surviving, that sometimes you have to take the fight to the enemy, even when it seems crazy, even when it costs you everything. Today, anti-submarine warfare units around the world study Walker's tactics. The creeping attack is still taught. The hunter-killer concept evolved into the modern attack submarine doctrine. Coordinated group tactics are standard. But beyond the tactics, there's something else. Walker believed in his crews. He trained them obsessively. He trusted them completely. He made them believe they weren't just convoy escorts. They were hunters. And when you change what people believe they are, you change what they can accomplish. The North Atlantic waters are peaceful now. Container ships cross in days what took weeks in 1943. There are no wolf packs, no desperate convoy battles. But every ship that makes that crossing owes something to a stubborn, aggressive captain who refused to accept that playing defense was enough. Johnnie Walker taught the Royal Navy how to win the Battle of the Atlantic, and then he gave his life to prove it could be done.